Good morning and welcome to Seattle Unity live stream Sunday service. This is the second Sunday in Advent, so we're going to sing some Christmas carols. This is I Saw Three Ships, only because I was thinking about cruise ships. We've got this and today David Loy is back with us. Very excited to have David back. And later on in the service, you'll also see Tyler Rogers and Justin Huertas, who are a couple. They'll be singing together, and they're allowed to because they are a couple. So don't get nervous. It's a completely socially distanced service and very safe. You know me, I'm Erin, and if you do know me, you're already up out of your chair, and I'd like you to move along with us. We'll start with I Saw Three Ships. It's a very easy lyric. I saw three ships come sailing by on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, I saw three ships come sailing by on Christmas Day in the morning. Now we say, and who is in the ships? And who is in those ships, all three, on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And who is in those ships, all three, on Christmas Day in the morning? Now we say the Virgin Mary and Christ. The Virgin Mary and Christ were there on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. The Virgin Mary and Christ were there on Christmas Day in the morning. Whither sailed those ships, all three, on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? Whither sailed those ships, all three, on Christmas Day in the morning? They went to Bethlehem. Oh, they went to Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, they sailed to Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. Let us pray.
And so now we focus and call our attention to the goodness in the universe. So I invite you to join me as we affirm our opening statement. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence.
And for this one, I'd like you to just grab something that shakes. I am notoriously terrible at hand percussion, and I'm doing it anyway because I love ya. And I want you to pick up something that shakes, shake it, and we say, let us all rejoice again. So let us all rejoice again on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, let us all rejoice again on Christmas Day in the morning. Let us all rejoice again on Christmas Day in the morning.
Good morning and welcome to Seattle Unity's live stream Sunday service. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'd like for us to begin by affirming our mission statement together, which is, we are a welcoming spiritual community thriving in the heart of Seattle, celebrating, inspiring, and deepening our individual and collective spiritual journeys. And it is so. I want to invite you to type in any prayer requests that you may have in the chat box and know that Diane will pick them up, and then we will bless the people who have requested prayer at the end of this service. So thank you once again for joining us, and now Diane Robertson has an announcement.
Good morning. I have a very special announcement this morning. And so this week we celebrate an amazing milestone in the work and ministry of our very own Reverend Karen. And so this week marks 30 years of service to our Seattle Unity community, which is amazing. So this past June actually marked 36 years serving as a Unity minister, 30 years of that serving our Seattle Unity community. We are going to have a celebration after the service during fellowship that I hope you will join us for. Karen, we just are so grateful for your dedication, your patience, your care that you give so much to our community in so many different ways. I was counting it up, and it's 1,560 Sundays. Not that you've been there at every single Sunday, but through weddings and memorials, baptisms, life celebrations, walking with us through so many of life's changes, so many changes through this process of our community and evolution, including most recently this new building project. And so wherever you are, I invite you to join with me in our Unity blessing to bless Karen together. Karen, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the amazing Christ light that you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Okay.
Yay.
And we now have a few announcements on the video for you.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare Him room, and heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Just throw your arms up. Ready? And heaven and nature sing. All right, we go out on a vamp. We just say joy to the world, joy to the world. Sounds like this. Joy to the world. I sing joy to the world. What's that? Joy to the world. Sing joy to the world. Joy to the world.
And so now we take some time to become still and quiet as we prepare for a time of meditation. And so I invite you to prepare yourself in whatever way works best for you. It helps to sit with your back straight but not stiff, to allow the Kundalini energy to move up and down your spine. It's helpful to have your feet firmly planted on the floor. But however you choose, I invite you, and what is most important right now is that we take a moment to become still and centered as we awaken to the inner light. So with that said, I invite you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, recognize that you're letting go of anything that needs to be let go of. And as we inhale that light, which fills our entire being and goes to any part of the body that is in need of healing. And releasing and letting go once again. As we move into this place of centeredness and this place of silence.
What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping. This is Christ our King, whom shepherds guard and hail. angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, shepherd king, to own him, the King of kings. Salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing.
I used to think I love you was the end. I used to put it somewhere between family and friend. I used to think it's like a hand that fits one perfect glove. But that's not love.
Long before the two of us were one, I thought that I was doomed with love before love had begun. I thought it was a miracle that I'm unworthy of. But that's not love. It's snow falling around us, and every moment is unique. How they float and how they fall and how they all can fade so gently on your cheek. Love is snowfall.
I used to think I'd always be alone. I'd wave hello to puppies and that was a milestone. But when I put my trust in fate, then fate gave me a shove toward my love. It's snow falling around
It's
us.
snow falling around
Strings
us.
of light around the trees.
Strings of light, how they twinkle, how they glow, and how you know they're fragments of a memory, and what might be. This land's uncharted, we are voyagers. We make the rules up as we go, though we don't know where it will take us. We'll swim miles into the sea.
You and me.
You and me.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. It's snow falling around us.
Falling around us.
Singing on the breeze.
Carol singing on the
Love is inside every note
and every breath of silence in between. Love is snowfall.
Love is snowfall.
Love is snowfall.
Love is snowfall.
Love is snowfall. Love is snowfall. Love is snowfall.
Love is snowfall.
It took this time apart for me to see how much you are a part of me.
Thank you, Justin and Tyler. Faith is on. Hi, Faith.
Hello, I'm Faith Ireland, and I invite you to join me.
Going to bless our offering. Hi, Faith.
Hello, I'm Faith Ireland, and I invite you.
Thank you. Faith will be joining us later to bless our offering. So that was a test run. So this is the second Sunday in Advent, and Advent means coming. In a way, the coming of the Christ child, but it's also the coming of the Son, because the Son seems to have disappeared in a way. And Advent is a way of maintaining hope as the days get progressively darker. So Advent is sort of like having an arrow that we're aiming toward the sun, and recognizing that that sun is going to return, that life is going to return, that we will awaken to the light of our true nature. So we have that arrow in Advent that is pointing the way to when the days will start to shift and get longer again. So not only are we coping with long, dark nights, but really, in a sense, we are living in dark times. One day we're going to look back at this time and wonder, how did we do it? And even if things are going well for you, if you're employed and you have food and a place to live and you're healthy and so is your family and no one you know has been touched by COVID or has died, you're still being affected by everything that's happening around us, even if you're not conscious of it. So I had a dream this week, and in the dream, I was in this building, and it was dark, and there was a long line of people, just a long line, longer than I could see. And everybody was just standing there quietly, just waiting for their turn. Nobody was talking. They're all just standing there. And at the end of the hall was a door. And everyone was waiting for this door to open. And then when the door opened, there was a light, and then everybody just started walking through it. And when I woke up, I realized that it was the people who are making their transitions, who are walking into the next dimension. And so, as of this point, there's over 280,000 Americans who have died from COVID, and that doesn't count worldwide. And yes, I know we're in the home stretch because there is a vaccine on the horizon, but the truth is we're all being affected. And if you're not being affected physically or financially, know that you're being affected emotionally and psychically. And so it's really important to take care of oneself during this period of time, and to practice any spiritual tools that you have. And I think that that is why this Advent season is especially important. Because yes, the sun will return. Yes, this experience will end. So we're back in this season, right? We're in this cyclical life and calendar. And so right now we're back in the season of hope, of peace, of light in the midst of this darkness. And though the Christmas story, the Kwanzaa story, the Hanukkah story, the solstice story pretty much stays the same, the truth is each one of us is in a different place. We're all having a different experience. So this is my 30th Christmas with Seattle Unity. I arrived in 1990 with a 6-week-old baby and a toddler under the age of 2, and a church that was in trouble and in disarray. I came here with my then husband, and we'd been in Reno, Nevada for 5 years. And I don't know if you know, but in Reno, there's 250 days of sun. And so we came to Seattle, which has about 60 days. I thought I had moved to a car wash that first year. And it took me a while to adapt, and now I have to say that I can honestly say I love the rain, and I love this climate, and I have adapted to it. And I wanted to reflect a little bit on some of the past Christmases that I have experienced here. And I'm remembering David King, who was our music director, and he wrote this big Christmas musical which featured Michael Hepburn and Larry Wooden and Megan Smith that was astounding. And then Deanna Rattan with elaborate costumes and songs. And Richard Levy, who was here for 5 years, and his favorite passage or phrase that we used on Christmas Eve was, "Blessed be the Holy One being born in the manger of my heart." And then, of course, the last 10 and more years, I've experienced Erin and her mastery and her ability to create mystical experiences on Christmas Eve with Tiffany and with Justin, Kiki, and Rafe Perlman. And I don't know how many of you were here the Christmas Eve. We all howled, with Rafe. So that was fun. And now here we are, another Christmas, another Advent, and now we are online. And yes, we will be having a candle lighting service at 7 p.m. And you're going to have your candle at home. So we're going to experiment with a Zoom and a live stream so that we can see you at the same time that we're having a service. So every Christmas, again, every Hanukkah, every Kwanzaa, every solstice is the same, but they're different. And we have these traditions in our life as markers to kind of hold us in place, right, to mark time. And some people have gone from our lives from this Christmas to the last few, and some new people have entered our lives. We have seen our children grow up and maybe go on into their own lives. So I've kind of come to the conclusion that life is a spiral, not linear, but a spiral. And we can see examples of the spiral in nature when we look at the Milky Way, or an ear canal, or DNA, or a seashell. We find it in cave paintings and the movement of the planets. In tantric yoga, the word kundalini actually means spiral, which is the energy, again, that moves up the spine as it awakens the different centers or the chakras. So if we're walking a spiral, then a linear path in life, we may find that we end up, or it may feel like we end up sometimes back at a place where we began. We learn something, and then we're called with the same pattern to learn it again at a deeper level. So think about the lessons that you've come here to learn in this life, because for every single one of us, it's a different thing. I mean, maybe you have come here in this life to be seen and to have a voice. Maybe you've come into this life to be in relationship and nurture others. Maybe you've come into this life to be out in the world and achieve something in an outer way. Whatever it is, every single one of us has some lesson and lessons that we have come into this life with. And there are times when you may find that you can look back on the same lesson. And it may be the same lesson, but it's in a different path. So hopefully you are stronger, you are more sure of your strengths when you come back to this. So here we are at another Advent, another Christmas, another Hanukkah, looking for the light. But this time the search for the light has reached a deeper meaning. So I'm celebrating 30 years today at Seattle Unity. And the average time for a minister in a church is about 2 to 5 years. And many people have said, well, how have you managed to stay that long? And I remember Rodney Romney, he was at First Baptist Church when I first came to Seattle, and he'd been with his church for like 30 years or something. And I said, so how have you stayed so long? And he goes, well, I stayed when I wanted to stay, and I stayed when I wanted to leave. And I stayed when they wanted me to stay and when they wanted me to leave. So there's a lot of wisdom in that. I've always held that. But I think that the reason that I've been able to be in the same ministry for 30 years is, one, a sense of place is important to me. I was raised in Chicago in one neighborhood, and that has grounded me. And I wanted to give that gift to my kids. I wanted them to have a sense of place, and that place is Seattle. But I've also learned to be flexible and to let go of my ego in order to serve in different ways. So in the beginning, I was a co-minister and kind of did a job share, or a job and a half with Steve, and it gave me the freedom to spend more time with my children and raise them. And then when Richard Levy came, I was able to serve with one of my best friends and hear one of the best speakers in the Unity movement every Sunday. But it also gave me the freedom, because he was on the pulpit on Sunday, it gave me the freedom to focus on the chaplaincy program and really build it and make it stable, and to help develop community. So now, as I have served for the past 10 years as senior minister, I'm happy that I'm working with Diane Robertson as my associate. And there are joys and challenges in ministry. Some of the joys have included being in important moments in people's lives, like weddings and christenings and funerals, and challenges have also been weddings and not christening so much and funerals. It's holding space in dark times when people are suffering. To hold that space and to see the truth about what's happening despite everything that's happening. One of the great challenges, I think, of ministry is writing a talk every week. That was the hardest thing for me to learn. I'll never forget my first day in ministerial school. I told myself that I would get through and then I would be a counselor or something, but I certainly wouldn't be a minister. And I'll never forget the dean walked in and she said, "Okay, everybody, you are all here to learn to be a pulpit minister. And if you don't want to be a pulpit minister, there's the door, and I suggest you leave right now." So I thought, all right. And they were so great because what they did is they started us off with 30 seconds. "Hi, my name is, and this is where I'm from." And then we led up to a minute and a minute and a half. And it never became comfortable, but it was good. So the challenge is writing a talk every week, but the joy is also writing a talk every week, because what it does is it gives me the chance to stop and find higher meaning in the things that are happening in the world. A joy is shepherding a community in its spiritual growth. Seattle Unity is filled with people who are sincere spiritual seekers and are intelligent, creative, and compassionate. And I have watched this body develop and deepen their spiritual connection with sincere spiritual seekers. Challenge in ministry is being around a lot of people. It's difficult for an introvert. However, one of the joys is that I get to have deep conversations with people. The thing about ministry is conversations are rarely superficial, they're very deep. And I'll never forget, I had taken a month off and was kind of traveling and hanging out and kind of just living like, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm fine." Good to see you." And then I remember my first Sunday back, I'm in the narthex, and somebody came up to me and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they said, "Well, let me tell you." And then it went on and I was like, "Oh, I forgot, I'm at church." And we have real conversations. We have really deep conversations. And now, as we move forward, I feel like I'm getting to be a part of a team that is creating a new building and a new future here at Seattle Unity, a whole new generation of people that are stepping into this new place. So in many ways, I have, in my last 30 years, been in this spiral. Every year there's a Christmas and there's an Easter. Every year we celebrate and we mark these holidays. And yet, not just for me, but for every single one of us, when we come back to this place, we're different. And life is different. Things are different. But these markers are important. So no matter what your age, consider that your path in life is not linear, but spiral. And when you find that a similar lesson in your life has reappeared, ask yourself, how am I different? So maybe a challenge comes in front of you that you're kind of used to being part of your pattern, but recognize that the reason we draw these challenges to us is because it gives us the opportunity to develop qualities within ourselves that we need to develop, and it's part of our life's lesson. So what are the skills that you have now to face challenges that perhaps you didn't have before? So I'd like to take a moment to just become still and just reflect on this idea that life is a spiral. And imagine seeing your life, not in a linear fashion going back and forth, but going around. But every time it goes around, you're a little more awake. You've gone a little deep soul. And what is one of the lessons that you have been drawn to in this life? What is it? Is it to be seen and to have a voice? Is it to be in relationship, to be a parent? What is your lesson that you have come here to learn? And now imagine this spiral. And how many times has this lesson reappeared for you in your life? How many times, how many cycles have you been confronted with the same lesson over and over again? And recognize that it isn't because you are stuck, but because you are evolving and growing and awakening with each cycle. And reflecting right now on what are some of the skills that you now have, that you may not have had, say, 10 or 20 years ago, that you have developed and deepened. And what's next for you? Where are you being led? What's being called in you? Because we are living in times that appear to be dark. And as we put that arrow toward Advent, toward the sun returning, what is that light in you that you need to direct and send out there? Because this is the real lesson. This is what we are called to do. This is the higher meaning of these traditions. And so we are grateful that we may manifest and incorporate these teachings in our lives. And it is so. Amen.
The next song that we'd like to sing for you is one of our favorites from A Muppet Christmas Carol. Enjoy. It's in the singing of a street corner choir. It's going home and getting warm by the fire. It's true wherever you find love, it feels like Christmas. A cup of kindness that we share with another, a sweet reunion with a friend or a brother. In all the places you find love, it feels like Christmas.
It is the season of the heart, a special time of caring, the ways of love made clear. It is the season of the Spirit, the message, if you hear it, is make it last all year. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. It's in the giving of a gift to another, a pair of mittens that were made by your mother. It's all the ways that we show love that feels like Christmas.
A part of childhood we'll always remember. It is the summer of the soul in December. Yes, when you do your best for love, it feels like Christmas.
It is the season of the heart, a special time of caring, the ways of love made clear. It is the season of the Spirit, the message, if we hear it, is make it last all year. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. It's in the singing of a street corner choir.
It's going home and getting warm by the fire. It's true wherever you find love, it feels like Christmas. It's true wherever you find love, it feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas.
I'm Faith Ireland, and I invite you to join me in practicing the law of giving and receiving through our generosity. You can text through the giving notice on your screen. Our continued support makes this spiritual community possible. I have personally experienced the benefits of tithing to Seattle Unity. You can give by the text you see or donate through our website at seattleunity.org. While you're on the website, check out the easy recurring donation feature too. For now, hold the spirit of the gift in your heart as we affirm. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. We breathe in that, and we dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the will, the work, and the way of the living Spirit of truth. May each gift return to the giver a millionfold. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Faith. So before we close, I'd like to speak the names of those who have requested prayer. So I invite you to bring yourself into that prayer consciousness, recognizing that it is not I who speak, but it is the Spirit within me who speaks the word and blesses. So we know that as we speak the names of each person who has requested prayer, that spirit, that goodness goes to each person. And so we hold Chris and Beth, Dave and Jill and Debbie in our prayers. We hold Gary and Tom and Stephen and see that Spirit of God moving through every cell of their body, bringing them wholeness and healing, perfection. Same for Mary. Let us hold Mary in the light, knowing that her body is infused with this. For Dirk, as you grieve the loss of your mom, we hold you in our hearts and in our minds, and may you be lifted up by the presence of God. May you be lifted up by the memory of your mother. May you be lifted up by your community. We also hold in prayer Ben and Shirley and Kayla. And just for a minute, just hold in your heart anyone who comes to your mind who is in need of prayer right this moment. And it is so. And so now let's join together in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
We'll sing our closing song together, and if you are at home with someone whose hands you can safely hold and who will allow you to hold their hands as you sing this, that would be great. I want to say thank you today to our special guests, Justin Huertas and Tyler Rogers. And the song that you heard right after meditation is a brand new one, and it's from a new Christmas musical that Tyler is doing through Arts West. And if you go to the Arts West website, you can know more about that. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever you are, God is. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever you are, God is. Wherever we